Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. So, Legendary Edelgard is here, and we're just going to struggle, I'm guessing, for these 4 extra stages, because, well, they're completely new, and they're all boss battles. So, we'll see what we get, but, or how we do, rather. But, I guess we'll talk about Legendary Edelgard. I currently have up to Infernal done. That was terrible. Currently have up through Infernal done. I haven't touched Abyssal yet because I haven't had time. I just did at the bare minimum just get all the orbs and stuff. And last resort, if it does become too difficult, which I imagine it could be, but we'll see. We'll definitely get an Abyssal clear out at some point. I don't know if it'll be very nice, because I don't know what happened there. If we're talking about the usual meme challenge, then getting Legendary Azura and Veronica to never attack and never get hit is kind of difficult on that map, because it's definitely a tight map, but, you know, it's a pro and a con at the same time. So we'll see what we come up with. I don't suspect we can't pull off any janky Nino one-shot shenanigans as far as I know. I guess if she's not adjacent to a unit, then we can pull it off. But basically Edelgard's gimmick is just not being adjacent to an ally. Most of her power comes from that. She gets slightly tankier, she does more damage, and she denies the follow-up attacks. So, in general, like, her stat line, I do wish they didn't give her as much res, and instead give her more speed. That would have been cooler in my opinion. But, unfortunately, her speed's pretty eh. You can still meme and do funny shenanigans with her, of course, because that's how the game is nowadays. But, unfortunately, well, in general, like, when you see a plus 10 Edelgard, Legendary Edelgard, say in, I don't know, arena assaults, she's generally going to be pretty darn slow, so you can just run like an Axe Breaker unit and almost always double her, even if she's not adjacent to an ally, because, well, she doesn't have that much speed to start with. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's something different, but not really. The real interesting thing about Edelgard, Legendary Edelgard, is her B skill, Raging Storm. Don't really care too much about it, giving her a guaranteed follow-up attack against, I believe, dragons and beasts. The main thing is if she initiates combat and she's not adjacent to an ally, I believe, then she automatically gets another action. And this stacks with Gale Force, so I believe, from what I've heard, Raging Storm procs first before Gale Force, so you could run her with Gale Force and stuff, so that's pretty cool. And of course her base attack is, I believe, 42, which is pretty good. So that means you could do some funny Brave Axe shenanigans. Of course there's some issues with that, because of course the might on Brave Axe is not great, so if you're gonna say run Heavy Blade 4 in your A slots, you have a little bit of issues being super consistent on your Heavy Blade 4 procs, but I mean, if it's in a player's hand, it seems pretty solid. Almost goofed there. Feels bad, man. Almost goofed there again. But, yeah, I don't expect to see any janky Brave Axe shenanigans. If you really wanted to troll, you could make Quad Edelgard. Just make her super duper fast with team buffs and stuff. with Brave Axe, and because she comes with Armored Stride, which is basically an inverted armor march in a sense, that if she's not... Oh, come on. We'll finish this, but that was dumb. That did not have to happen. Feels bad, man. Not first try clear. But, you could pull off some Brave Axe shenanigans with that. With Raging Storm and Gale Force, Heavy Blade 4, that kind of a deal. One of my friends does have that build. They're running Quick Impulse in their whatchamacallit seal slot, so in case she two-shot stuff, because I think she has like 62 attack with Brave Axe. I am probably in Heavy Blade 4, Brave Axe plus Heavy Blade 4, something like that. So it's not terrible. But yeah, Armored Stride, basically, well, she is not at the start of the turn if she's not adjacent to any allies. She gets 2 movement, which is pretty solid. It's not amazing. It's not like broken because, well, if we're looking at it in context to, like, say, arena defense, how to phrase this? Well, for one, besides the fact that since Legendary Edelgard has Raging Storm in her B slot, which means it's a 300 SP B slot, so that means if you want her to score get maximum score, then you need to run a 300 SP. Yeah, 300 SP A, B, and C slots. I just had to do the math in my head for a second there just to make sure, because I am pretty brain dead right now, as usual. So, you know, at super top end scoring shenanigans, you probably won't see her run Armored Stride. I mean, that's almost a guarantee. She is also only 179 BST, which was kind of a troll. Robbing her of like, I don't know, 3 to 6 BST. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of, eh. I think I goofed there. I did not pay attention though, so we're just gonna have to keep going. But, yeah. At the start, so on arena defense, she starts out adjacent to an ally. So that's already kind of awkward. Of course, someone could just also run Armor March on that defense, so there's a bit of more consistency that way. But while she's adjacent to allies, she's definitely easy to pick off because she can get doubled. Unless they're like running Wary Fighter for some reason, but then that's not optimal scoring again. But at the end of the day, solid unit, not broken in any way, but like people are going crazy that, you know, she can run Gale Force and Raging Storm with I think it's Amir. I don't know how to pronounce her weapon name. I vaguely recall hearing someone call her weapon that, so I'm gonna assume it's that. But if you don't think about it too hard, that basically means she gets to attack 3 times. Which, if you don't think about it too hard, that's basically like running Bold Fighter Gale Force. Except Bold Fighter Gale Force units, assuming they don't die on counters, that they would get to attack 4 times. And of course, if they were running like a Brave weapon, then they could quad and attack 8 times, of course, with less attack. But you know, it's kind of interesting to think about, I guess. Raging Storm definitely has its applications though. Because like, say you manage to get her enough attack to one-shot stuff, then she could possibly one-round KO 3 units in one turn, rather than the usual Bold Fighter Gale Force, which would only be able to attack up to 2 one-round KO 2 units at best. So Okay, Yoon moves diagonally. That's not great. Okay. I might get tripped up by that. Okay. I think that's the first time I've seen a Tap Battles unit move all the way diagonally to the other side, so that's interesting. But again, I will... Oh. I mistapped that so hard. Feels bad, man. That could have been a one-try clear. But, nah, we're too brain dead for that, Kappa. But, what were we talking about? I'm so brain dead, I keep losing my train of thought. Yeah, I'll definitely will see Legendary Edelgard in, like, Arena Assault and stuff. I already ran into her a couple times already. Definitely can be annoying if you don't have the right units to tech, but, you know, if you have a red Armor Slayer with competent attack, you can even just outright one-shot, or you could just use Axe Breaker and double, because generally speaking, it's pretty hard to not double her with her base speed, unless of course you're using a low merged unit that has pretty low base speed as well. So generally not too difficult if you have the counters, but if you don't have like a way to double her base bulk is pretty decent because of course they sacked your speed for that. So there's that issue, but again, in the context of Arena Assault, you should generally already be prepared to deal with green armors in the first place. So I don't feel like it's so mind-blowing to have to deal with her. But, you know, that in Arena, that might be a bit different for people who are already having issues with green armors to start, like maybe even just killing generic Surters, although he's usually not a big threat at all. If you, of course, have a decent team. But, in terms of ether raids, there's probably some niche usage during fire seasons with on offense for some Gale Force strategies, because she does well consistently get an extra action as long as she doesn't die and she initiates, so that could definitely set up something. I guess the one nuance with that is if you're using her to like set up for Wings of Mercy, her bulk's a little high, so that could be a non-trivial issue.
Don't just stand there.
But I mean, again, it's a niche thing because she's a legendary hero, so well, if you want to score well, you have to you can only use her during fire seasons, which already makes things a little more difficult. But of course, while she's bonus, she can definitely be annoying for people. Definitely be annoying for people on defense who aren't prepared. It's kind of like when people run like armor balls on defense and people get timed out because they don't have enough damage output, they don't bring armor slaying, or they just do not have super hard hitting units. So fighting against armors with like 80 plus defense and res is non-trivial. So there's that issue. But I don't think, generally speaking, that should be an issue for me. Because, well, assume even if like our bolt tower gets destroyed, say, which is a pretty convenient source of a pretty large amount of chip damage, you know, we can still bait, we can still nuke. We have Blade Tome shenanigans with Nino, and of course, we bring a dancer, so we have options. So in general, I don't feel like Edelgard's going to really change that much, other than maybe fire seasons are more competitive in terms of scoring. We'll see if we can one try clear. We might have already screwed up there. I didn't pay attention. Let's hope I know people call him Levin. I call him Lewin. Let's hope he doesn't move diagonally all of a sudden. I don't think he is. But I am currently not adjusting to the timing of some of these things. So I might be like tapping it within the time span that still counts for the combo. But it just means I'm not as consistent at it. If you had me do this a ton of times tapping like that, then I would definitely screw up some of the combos a decent amount of time. But there we go, S rank. All the extra stages, not terrible. We'll be back when I'm done with casual, because, well, for the fun of it, whenever there's a new tap battles series, or iteration, when there's new tap battles maps, I guess I'll call them. I don't know what they're actually called. Floors. I don't do the casual mode because, well, the only difference between casual and expert mode is you have to actually tap on the lanes in expert mode. On casual mode, there's just a button you press. So I don't do it on casual before going on expert mode, just so it's like an actually blind run, quote, per se, I guess, if you want to call it that. But that's what the series basically is to a degree. But yeah, we'll be back. Alright, I think that's us rank. Took longer on casual like usual. There's just something about tapping to the beat, not on just a button, that's easier for me. So there we go, all the extra stages S ranked. So that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.